I'd like to welcome everyone to this webinar and thank you all for taking time out of your day to join. My name is Billy D. I'm a sales consultant with Intrinsic, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our clinical trial management system. Before we get into the presentation here and the live demo, I just want to tell you a little bit about how our CTMS came to fruition. So two consultants that you can see here on the screen, Eric Lake and Matt Kiernan, worked together for a company called Barnett Consulting. They love the work, the clients, and the culture there. And they were implementing CTMS systems back in the 90s, when Impact was really the only CTMS in town. And eventually their company was bought, and they decided they were going to recreate the culture that they love so much, so they started Pharmaca Consulting, which is a consulting company with 35 employees that specializes in the life sciences industry. So as Pharmaca is a life sciences consulting company, we have continued to implement CTMS solutions for the past 10 years, and our role in these projects would really be to act as an independent party and help select and implement a vendor's CTMS. And in the role, we would really hear, we would see the demos, and once the vendors left, we got the honest truth about what people thought about the presentation they just saw and many of the other CTMS they've worked with in the past. Seeing these demos would spurn more conversations about, what everyone's experiences were. And my slides aren't moving here. Let's go ahead and, yeah, there we are. And not only would, we hear about that particular demo, like I said, but you'd hear a lot more about frustrations with other systems they've used in the past. And, not only were we hearing these frustrations, but we were noticing a trend. Different clients were experiencing the same frustrations over and over again. And we wanted to explore those trends and talk about them a bit. So, first off, lots of CTMS, particularly the bigger ones, have 5 to 7 modules, but companies really only need about half of that. A very good example is the grants module or the drug supply module. A lot of people don't use that. So really, companies were overpaying for a one-size-fits-all solution when really all they needed were a few key features. And even after buying these systems, because there was no other solution, there was no way to customize the tool so you could easily get information in and out of the system. Clients felt that the technology that we used was antiquated and fell into one of two categories. The first were the cash cows. They were expensive and had tons of existing clients, so really, why are they going to update it? They seem to be operating under the adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the second type were the systems that were half and half. And what I mean by that is the system was half out of the box and the other half you had to really build by yourself. Another complaint we would hear was a fragmented user experience. One client said that their CTMS had 5 different ways to navigate to the same endpoint, which makes training and system adaptation a lot more complicated and difficult. Finally, another problem was the heavy IT footprint. The system architecture still required a heavy IT influence to get these things up and running because the platforms, really were very different from one another. So I want everybody to kind of take a step back and stop thinking about CTMS, and solutions, and think about the different interfaces you've worked with, from your email to Word, Excel. Think about things you don't even work with, like Google Maps, iTunes, your digital cable, and the evolution of these interfaces over the past decade. You really see a lot of these things growing. Just recently, I went ahead and went with a completely different cable company just because I liked the interface so much better. It would have been much easier to just renew and stay and not go through the hassle of canceling and buying, but I just loved the interface so much that I had to go with it. And while most systems we all use are becoming easier to use, more configurable, we don't feel that the CTMS solutions that are out there are really following suit. We all love sleek interfaces with easy navigation, and it feels like the CTMSs are still living in the 90s. If you look at the screenshot I have up, there's a ton of unnecessary navigation dots here, ribbons that seem to go on forever. As you open more things, more things populate. It makes it more confusing to work with. They have endless menu bars. We are hearing these same pain points and seeing the lack of innovation in existing CTMS. We started to wonder, what's the holdup? Why are we still working like this? And that brings us to the CTMS offered by Intrinsic. I apologize, my slides are not moving when I'm, there we are. So we built our CTMS to be, light, modern, easy to navigate. We built it so someone who knows about clinical trials really wouldn't need that much training. We built the CTMS using Microsoft Dynamics as the operational platform. So with upgrades in Dynamics, it's a platform that you can build apps on. So we built a wrapper around a platform that people are familiar with. It's Microsoft. People know how to use Microsoft products. So the CTMS isn't going to feel completely foreign to them. And, as it's easy to use and fully configurable, we fall somewhere between the big expensive machines that have been around since the 90s and, the smaller startups that are all cloud-based. And by the way, I forgot to mention, if at any point anyone would like to ask any questions, please feel free to use the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar interface to send any questions my way. I'll be more than happy to answer them. So as we've built on the Microsoft Dynamics platform, we're the only CTMS on the market with native integration with Microsoft Office, which means we're able to leverage SharePoint for the storage of eTMF documentation. We're able to do quick and easy imports and exports, and I'll show you a little bit of that from Excel to get things like enrollment information and milestone information both in and out of the system. What else does being built on the Microsoft stack give us? We're able to easily put our system reports for you in Outlook so that you can see view any reports right from Outlook in the morning. And one bit of feedback we got from one of our clients that he really enjoyed, just downloading a plugin and 5 minutes later being able to look at his visualizations, not even being in the system and, enjoying his morning cup of coffee. It really made it easier that he didn't have to log in, sign in. He's checking his email, and right underneath there, he's able to look at his reports. So we really liked hearing that feedback. I'd like to do, this is we're going to get into the demo in just a moment, but this is, a sample of the navigation that we have. On the screen, you'll see that I've shown a portion of the page we refer to as the general entities. And we built all the options in the top menu, so they're your own entities. They're all groups of information for the clinical trials you work with. And people really like this setup. It's a CTMS setup in a non-traditional CTMS way, and people really enjoy that. They're able to understand it because it's functioning more like the things people are using every day and less like a traditional CTMS. So I'd like to do a quick recap before we jump into the demo. Our CTMS has native integration with Outlook, SharePoint, and Excel. So, it's a CTMS that's built on a mature Microsoft platform. So what we're doing is we're leveraging Microsoft's world-class infrastructure. It has infinity backups across the globe, so downtime is not going to be an issue. What we've done is we've taken clinical trial information and put it on a mature and proven platform where many people already know how to use it. So I'd like to take some time and walk you through a few sections of the system and really show you how it all works. So I'm going to jump over to my Internet Explorer that I have open right here. And this is the screen that when you sign in, this is the visualization that you can navigate to, and I'll walk you through the navigations near the end of the demo. The first thing I want to say is, as we're going to be going through this, a lot of times people will stop me and ask me questions because what I'm going to start doing is showing you what you're able to do in the system. And I'll get questions and say, well, wait, I don't want my study managers to be able to do that. Or more often, I don't want my executives to be able to do that. I don't want anybody who's just coming in here to look at information to actually be able to edit anything. And so I want to just tell you that this is not a user-based system like SharePoint. This is a role-based system. So we have 3 out-of-the-box roles that you can assign people to. We have admins, we have editing, and then we have read-only. So as I go through and I tell you about what people are able to do in the system, really when you subscribe to the CTMS and you assign people, you're able to go ahead and assign them the roles, and they'll be able to do only what you want them to do in the system. So you don't have to worry about anybody going in and editing information that they shouldn't be able to edit. Okay? So back in the webinar, I talked a little bit about the navigation, and that's where we're going to start today. I showed you the drop-down, the screenshot of the things I call general entities. and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So when I click on this caret next to the CTMS button right here at the top, what we see here is as what I referred to in the slideshow as general entities. And I like to think of general entities as having three main functions, okay? So the first is, if I click on any of these, let's say I click on the studies general entity, I can view at a high level what's going on with the system, what's displayed here on the page. I can go and I can see the name of my studies right here. I can see any short names I've given, the phase that they're in, the planned start, the actual start. This is some milestone information that's pulled in, the number of planned countries, planned sites, actual sites, enrollment information, status, things like that. So really when you click on a general entity, you're able to see, like I said, at a high level, what's going on in the system. The second thing I want to talk about general entities is that you can use them as a navigation tool. So if I wanted to navigate to any one of these studies, all I would have to do is click the link right here, and I'm taken into this. I believe this is my hypertension study. So whenever you click on any of the items in the general entity screen, you're taken to that particular study, project, site, etc. Finally, the third purpose of general entities, and I'll jump back and click on the general entity navigation, and I'll go ahead and go to institutes, is their repositories of information, okay? This is where everyone is pulling on data to add to their studies, right? So here we've clicked on institutes. Anytime someone goes to add a site, they are going to be going ahead and pulling on the information populated at the institute general entity. So it's a lookup field, and this is the information that is displayed. When we talk about the general entities in the system, I always like to tell people that what we currently have in place is for all general entities is duplicate detection settings, which is something out of the box from Microsoft, but you're able to customize those in certain ways. So anytime you if you were to try and add ABCD MedTech into the system, you would get an alert. A pop-up would say, hey, you're adding something that's very, either the same or similar in the system. Are you sure you want to proceed? And you can go ahead and you can say, oh, nope, cancel. I just didn't notice it was already in the system. I'll use that. But in the situation that you were, say, adding someone like me into the system, and you were adding Billy D into the system and there was already a William D, maybe those are just two different people, and you would say, no, I want to add Billy D. They're not the same. I'd like to proceed. And people really like that because they don't want to see things in the system more than once. So all the general entities have those duplicate detection settings up and running to make sure that you're not, you're really keeping those high data standards in the system. So once again, just to summarize, general entities have three functions: view at a high level what's going on, navigate to any one of the information stored in it, or, like I said, they're later in the system, they're repositories of information. When you're adding information, they're all the lookup fields pull on these general entities. I'm just checking my interface here to make sure I'm not missing any questions, and it looks all right, so I'm going to proceed. So now that we've talked about general entities, I want to get into specific entities. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that hypertension study that I was in previously. And now you can see in the box up here, we have the CTMS button with the general entity dropdown, which we've talked about before. And now that I've clicked on that particular study, you can see it's populated in the ribbon. And now when I click on the caret next to this is where we get into the specific entities, okay? And while this is system-wide information here in the general entities, when you click on the specific entity, this is information pertaining just to this particular study. So this would take you to the SharePoint for the eTMF documents for this study, any trip reports, site investigation, site qualification, anything like that you wanted to add for this particular study, the study countries associated, sites, milestones, enrollment and baseline, budget, contacts, everything under this dropdown is associated directly with this study. So once again, system-wide information with the general entities, and then specific entity information. So this applies directly to this study only. If I were to go to a particular site, and I'll go ahead and click on the sites general entity, and I'll just click on the first site here that pops up. and now you'll see in the ribbon, we used to see the study displayed right here in this third button. Now what we're seeing, you see we're in Site 101. We see Site 101 displayed in the ribbon right here. And if I click on the drop down now, the specific entity, it's all going to be information, site regulatory information, site milestones, site essential documents. It is all things that are specific to this particular site. So anytime you navigate to anything and then click on this drop down, it's only going to be specific to that particular study country, site project. And so that is general entities and specific entities. And I'm just going to show you how quickly and easily you can navigate back and forth between the two. You can go ahead and click on studies and get to studies. And you're back to the general entity view of all the studies, navigating to any study really quickly. You're there. It's populated up here. You can click on any of the study level information. And so we've talked about button number 1 here, the general entities, and we've talked about button number 3 here, the specific entities. Another great navigation tool is this this second button right here, which I call the quick nav. And what you can do is you can click on this drop down right here, and now I'm seeing all the studies that my profile has viewed recently. This is going to be different for anyone. Anything that you've recently have accessed, any studies you've recently accessed, show up right here. And anytime you click on any particular general entity, that changed. If I click on sites right here, if I go back to the sites general entity, and I click here, excuse me, and now the sites general entity page pop up. If there's, once you're using the system, there's going to be hundreds of sites in here to navigate to. But all I have to do is go up here, and I see the sites that I've recently been in. So I don't have to waste my time, going through pages of information down here, going and clicking over to the next 50 entries if I have to go to page 2. Everything I've looked at and recently been working in is right here under my recently viewed. All right. So that is the navigation. You can go back and forth without a hassle and only get to the things that you want to see or that you have used recently. All right, so next up, I'm just going to walk you through how how you input information into the system, sort of the hierarchy of the system. I'm not going to take time entering information. We have a bunch of test information in the system, so I'll just walk you through it. If I go ahead and click on this top project right here, let me make sure there's some sites in it. Looks like there are, so let's go ahead and click on this project right here. So you start entering information at the project level and then go all the way down to the site level. So you would enter in your project information right here. You're going to notice that there's very few red asterisks, very few required fields in the CTMS. We built the system so you could get up and running very easily, and so really you only have to enter a little bit of information to be able to save a record and move on. As you go from top to bottom in entering your project information, right here you'd get to the related studies, and if you wanted to add a study, you'd click on the plus button right here, which is a quick create, and it's going to enter the next level of the system, which is a study. So clicking on the quick create creates this overlay right here with these 4 mandatory fields. You would enter that information, your study level information, hit save, and it would then appear here in the related studies area. I'm just going to click on the first study right here. Make sure that there are some sites in here. Perfect. So now that I've entered that study information, I've saved it, and now I can enter more information. All of these blue headers can be collapsed very easily. The project information is just showing you the information you entered at the previous screen. It's not editable, so we can just show that. Here's the study information you could enter. If you go down, here's where you enter your populations and your subpopulations. Any additional study information you want to add, like is managed by the CRO. If there is a CRO, the name, the investigator. This is anytime you see locked fields, you know it's pulling in from somewhere else. So these are all pulling in the milestone information for this particular study. I should show once if I click on the specific entity drop-down again. This is where you'd enter those milestones that are now pulled up here to display for you. If I scroll down to the bottom here, you see the next level of the system, which is related study countries. You click on this quick create again, and now you get the overlay where you can go ahead and enter your study country information. You save it. It shows up in your table right here. So now you go ahead, and I'm going to click on Belgium. let's just say we just added that. So now, once again, top to bottom, you see some display-only information, some study information, some project information. These are the previous two levels you entered. And now you can enter your study country information. Some of this populates automatically based on the country, things like region. This information that's tabbed in is all dependent on that information. And you see able to enter some investigator details, the milestones that are pulled in from again, the specific entity information. And then if you scroll down, the next level of the system is going to be sites. So I could click on the quick read again and show you, but I've showed you twice, so there's no need. Then you enter your site information, you save it, it appears in this table, and then you would click here, and this is where you could enter your site information. This is the lowest level of the system, so once again, it goes from project to study country to site. This is where you'd enter any of your investigator information, the institute, and all that information. Like I said, originally when we talked about general entities and those repositories of information, when you select your investigator in the institute, all the other information is pulled in, so you don't have to worry about populating this. And that's how you enter the information from top to bottom, from project, study country, and site. Next, I want to talk to you. Do we have any questions? Let me go ahead and check my interface really quick to make sure. I'm not seeing any come through right now, so that's great. So I'll just keep going. I've just shown you the general entities, the specific entities. I've showed you how to navigate through the system. I've showed you how you enter the information from top to bottom, from the project down to the site level. So now let's talk about how you could get information into the system, okay? And there's a couple different ways to get information. I just showed you could enter it by hand. You could enter manually. You could go in. Your study managers could come in and enter information into the system, and it will display just like I showed you. Another way to get information is we can build APIs. We can work with our clients so we can pull in any CRO data that they want to go into the system, any enrollment information coming from other sources. We're happy to work with you and any of the companies and systems that you work with, and build these APIs so we can easily pull the data into the system and have it populate. And then you can take advantage of our visualizations and see all your information in one place, and see it all in the reports or visualizations that you would like to see. Next, which is the more common way, is you can import information into the system. Okay, so if you were, let's go back up to, for example, say you wanted to get some milestone information into the system, and you wanted to get a lot of milestone information for your sites. Well, you'd navigate to the site's general entity, like we showed you here, and then you'd click on your specific entity drop-down. You'd go to milestones, and here you see the information. You see that's laid out pretty much like a table that you could enter things like start date, planned and actual, final informed consent template, planned and actual. There's a lot of milestones that you're able to enter. And if you wanted to, what you could do is click on this export import button right here. And what you're going to see is a new window pops up. And now you could go ahead and export all of this information directly to Excel as a static worksheet. And then you could go ahead and, I should really narrow it down because it's pulling in everything in the system. The really cool thing about these importing exporting views, whenever you do it in the system, is it functions exactly like an Excel table. And who doesn't know how to use and manipulate data in Excel? You go ahead and you click on this the filter button right here. And as you can see, when you click that, you get a lot more options to work with. So we could go ahead and only want to see filter by specific country. We could only want to maybe see our sites in the United States. We do that, and we narrow it down a bit more. And then you're only seeing the sites that are in the United States. Let's say you only had you had a executive who really wanted to make sure these IRB, IEC submissions and applications, and they really wanted to keep track of that, and they wanted that information in the system. Well, you could filter by specific milestone. You could come in and say IRB and search, and then you could only export these particular milestones. Then you could go ahead and get those in and out of the system. So these are all the milestones for the United States. You could export that to Excel. as a static worksheet. And you could easily enter if you wanted to give this off to someone else in your company that doesn't have access to the system but knows where this information comes from, send it to our CRO, have it populate it and send it back, and then just upload it into the system very easily. This can also be used as an ad hoc reporting tool. Like I said, if you have an executive who, let's say, really wants to know about a particular set of 5 milestones per site, you could go in and you could do those particular 5 milestones for every site in the system, and you could export them as a dynamic worksheet and send it to them, and then anytime they open up the dynamic worksheet, there's a live link to the system, and they are able to see, every time they open it up, it'll refresh with the latest information. So this is a way not only to get information into the system without having to be in the system all day. Let's say you're emailing for dates, you're trying to figure it out, you don't want to come in and add it piecemeal into the system. You export a static worksheet, and you're able to populate it at your own time and then easily import it back into the system. You're not going into each individual site and entering information. You're only exporting what you want to populate, and then you're importing exactly that back into the system. So that's a way you can get information into the system, and the benefits of getting it out of the system as well is exporting as a dynamic worksheet, any information customized as you want. It's like an ad hoc reporting tool, and then anytime you open that Excel file, it refreshes with the latest information. You save it right to your desktop. Every time you open it, you're not having to go in the system to get updates. People really like that sort of ad hoc reporting tool, that they can get their information in and out of the system very easily. So those are the 3 ways you can get information into the system. You can do it manually, we can build APIs, or you can go to all of the areas and hit the import-export button, export the templates out of the system, take your time, and then import it back when you're ready. Every level of the system, project, study country, and site, has these pieces of these milestones. So there's milestones at every level of the system. You can import them and export them using static and dynamic worksheets. And like I said, the number one piece of feedback we get is that people really like being able to do that, especially with the dynamic worksheet information. With that, I want to talk to you about our visualizations, so I will go back to the dashboards like I was talking about. Here you see the out-of-the-box reports that we have. If you clicked on any one of these, the Power BI interface would open. Power BI is the tool we use to build our visualizations, also a Microsoft tool. If you've read the Gartner report for visualization tools for this year, it is in the top 3 along with, I believe, Tableau and Spotfire. And here we have all of our reports that come, like I said, out of the box with the system right here on the left. We'll start with this portfolio graph. I have to, excuse me for a moment. I know you can't see this, but I have to move my GoToMeeting interface so that I can properly show you everything. So here you see we start with portfolio level information, all your studies broken down by therapeutic area, by project, by compound. These are all the high-level information that you can see in the system. This is all of our visualizations are either going to be, the graph like you see, tabular, or a mixture of the two. So this is an example of, a graph visualization. If I click on the next one, which I believe is the portfolio summary table, this is where you get a little bit more of this tabular view, and you can see things like compound, program, therapeutic area, indication, study. This is all this information right here. You could go ahead and click on the filter option on the right here, and then you could filter by a particular compound, project, phase, status, therapeutic area, anything that you wanted to see. If you only wanted to see, your endocrinology level information, you click that, and the report would filter to display only that information. After the portfolio level information, you can start to see study level information. So here we have a study enrollment status report, and this is a mixture of the visualization as well as the tabular information. Here you can go ahead and see things like percent countries active, percent sites active, period, percent complete for all of your studies along the way. Here's the study startup graph, which is going to show you if these actual milestones have been hit, sites active, IP received, IP shipped, SIV complete, and then the IRB submission and approval down here. Next up, we have an enrollment graph. People really like our graphs, particularly the enrollment graph right here. It shows a lot of really useful information over a period of time. You're able to filter this information. So as you can see, there's baseline information, there's site informations, there's patients screened and patients enrolled. Clicking on any one of these allows you to just only see the patient information like we just showed, or you can go back and click all, and then you can see everything that's in the system. If I go back to navigate, now we go down to the site level graph. So this is very much like the study startup graph, but this is triggering off of actual milestones, and these are the default ones that we pull from the system. We can of course customize this so that different milestones are shown here and displayed. Site enrollment status, so similar to the study enrollment status, but here we have site enrollment status report. This is strictly, like I said, a tabular report, and all the information here displayed. You see that the P is for planned or for active, and all your enrollment and your enrollment rate to date and your enrollment over time information is displayed here. And then finally we have an enrollment by month table, which just shows you all the enrollment for a particular study. So you were seeing it before in a graph, and here we have the tabular view that you're able to see. All of these reports refresh every 2 hours, pulling in all the latest information. And like I said, these are the out-of-the-box ones, but we have built reports for other clients and are happy to work with you to to customize these visualizations so they're more in alignment with what your team needs to see, or if there's a particular visualization that you currently build and would like to see, we can do that for you as well. So with that, I think I will open it up to any questions. Thanks everybody for joining us. See if anybody has any questions about anything that we've gone over today. Okay, most of the questions that are coming in, we have 3 questions. Just wanting to, yes, this is going to be recorded and available online, and I also do these demos. Happy to set them up one-on-one. People are saying they want their team to be able to see. Yeah, absolutely. So if I can reach out, I have the people who've asked the questions about the recording and about being able for other people in their organization and teams to be able to see it. Yes, I'm going to put it online. It's recording, and I will also go ahead and reach out to you in case you want to set up a more personalized demo where we can go deeper into some of the things that you would like to see. Yeah, I'd be happy to show you that. So none of the questions we just received is how is enrollment data entered into the enrollment data entered into the system. So if I go back to any, so I'm going to click on the drop-down right here for the general entities and click on the studies. And I'll click on this first right here. We're at 1001, 1001. And all of the information, all of the enrollment information is entered at the study level. So you would go ahead and navigate to this particular study, and then in your specific entity dropdown, you would click here and go to the enrollment and baselining module. And we talked a little bit about milestones earlier. This is actually a great question. I actually wanted to get into this, but I skipped over it, and I kind of forgot about it. So enrollment information. Here you can see on this page that we have some planned enrollment entered into the system, okay? And the thing about the enrollment table is that here you can see there are years that you can enter enrollment information. The enrollment information is built as you add your studies. Plugin runs, and what it does is it triggers off of your sites. So when you enter your planned FPS and your planned LPS, so your first patient screened and your last patient screened, you're going to be able to enter planned enrollment information. You're going to enter, 1/1/17 as your FPS and your 12/31/2017 as your LPS. And this table is going to then build itself because it's not just going to be in here displaying every year. It would get too out of hand. So what it does is it builds the enrollment table based on the milestone credentials that you supply. So when you put in your FPS and your LPS and your planned FPE, that's the information that builds the enrollment table. Now recently, I had a client who had the system for 2 months and hadn't put any enrollment information into the system, and suddenly said, I really need to get information. We really need to see the enrollment visualizations. I'm clicking on the enrollment baselining module, but I'm not seeing anything because the table doesn't build. It gives you a message that says, please enter your milestone information. And she was trying to figure out how to get the enrollment information into the system as quickly as possible for 20 sites. And I said, oh, well, you just have to enter your site milestones of FPS and LPE, and you'll be able to enter that information. And she kind of got frustrated because she knew she'd have to find those sites, navigate to those sites, put them all in, save on the milestone screen, and then go to the next site and do that 20 times. And I said, no, you really don't. So what I did is I went into that enrollment. Let's go ahead and go into any of the site milestones. I've showed you, so I can just walk you through. We went into the export for the site milestones. We selected only the 20 sites she wanted of the 150 in the system. Then we went further and filtered out all milestones except for FPS and LPE. And then all she had to do was fill in a data sheet that looked a little something like this. So she got her sites, and then first patient screen, last patient enrolled. She filled this data in, she saved it, uploaded it back into the system, and then all of her enrollment tables were built easily for her to enter her planned and actual enrollment. It was that easy. The whole process for her, doing things in the system took, I think she said, less than 3 minutes. She was able to work outside the system with her team, get all those dates, save it, upload it very easily, and then she was able to come in here, select from her year, her country, and enter any planned enrolled information. I'm not sure exactly. Let's go ahead. As you can see, you're not seeing anything in the enrollment table because this is all done by country down here. So when you click on the country that has those milestones in it, so here you go. These are the milestones that have been entered for the United States for sites 1, 2, 3. You'd come in here and you'd enter any of the planned enrollment information, and everything on the planned enrolled would have rolled up to the baseline. The enrollment information table down here is really by site, and the baselining module is done by study, so that's why this number up here is greater than what you're seeing. It's pulling in everything from every site and putting it into the planned enrolled. We were going to build the baselining table by site, but people had the feedback we got from clients was that people don't really want to baseline at the site level. If they have 100 sites, they don't want to be trying to baseline every site. They just want to see it at the study level. So how our enrollment and baselining module works is you're able to enter your planned and actual enrollment level at the site level, and it all rolls up to the study for you to see right here, then enter your original and your current baseline. Once you enter your original baseline and save it, it cannot be edited. And then anytime you'd have to make any updates, you click on the current baseline, and that is what is reflected in the enrollment graph that I showed you previously, that baselining information. Whenever you save, if we were to save this right here, the date of baselining would pop up. You'd see March 15th, 2017, and if I were to go in and edit or update the current baseline in 2 weeks, that's the date you'd see here. So you can see both when the original and when the current baseline were created. So we got a couple more questions. Are the reports drillable? Can we explore the data from the reports? I think you mean, can you filter? Can you drill down into them? Sure, absolutely. If I were to go into, let's go back. Let me show you what I think you are asking, and then you can go ahead and correct me or say, yes, I hit on it. So here I have to get rid of the interface. There we are. So this is the site startup graph. You see the first patient, the site initiation, all that information. If you click on the filter right here, you can go ahead and filter by a particular study, whatever you want to see in the system. That's what it brings in. You can go back to select all, so it does everything, and then you could go and just see everything in, I know there's information in the United States, so let's keep it easy and go there. You could go down here and only see information for the United States, your sites that are in the US. That's how you can drill down into the reports. Does that answer your question? While I'm waiting for your response, I will go on to the next question received. Oh, no, not really. Okay. Maybe give me a little bit more to work on and I can try and help out. Is the system custom configurable? Can we change labels, introduce new fields, incorporate new validations? Yes, it is. Absolutely, we can customize the system, but it all depends on how you want to work with the system. And sometimes our clients require a validated system, so we can deliver you a system that is validated, and because Part 11 compliant, people need to see that. But we have also worked with clients where we have gone ahead and updated labels, introduced new fields, and then we have gone ahead and done more compliance work to make that instance of the system compliant. So the short answer is yes. The long answer is it all depends on how you want to use it. We can get it to the place where it can be both configurable and compliant. So we have done it all those ways that I've just mentioned. So hopefully I answered that question. No, not really. It sounds like the graphs are static. They are not clickable. Let's go ahead. Yes, I would say that is accurate. You can hover over and see anything that you would like to in the systems, but yes, they're not able to sort of drill down. But let's go back to the system. This is something I didn't talk about, and I think the thing is the system, it really allows you to do those ad hoc reports like I was telling you about. So you remember if I showed you how you're able to export information into the system, right? And you're able to configure exactly what you want out of the system and make it dynamic. Let me show you, and one of the first things we talked about when I moved into the demo, the live demo, was general entities. So let's go back to the site's general entity. And there's something that you can do here that is really cool, and it's kind of a combination of exporting that dynamic worksheet as well as making these views customizable. So I can go ahead and click on this Active Studies dropdown right here, and I can create a personal view. And what I can do there, if I click on the Create a Personal View, and I had no experience in Dynamics before I started working with this system. So here is where you are able to edit this general entity view. I can go ahead and click on the Edit Columns option right here, and I can get rid of information. If I don't want to see any site information here, I can remove it. I can remove the actual sites, and then I can bring in any other information that is related to the study. So if I want to bring in total planned budget, as well as if I want to bring in the status, if I want to bring in, well, I got rid of planned sites, so that would be silly to bring back in. If I wanted to bring in, LPE planned and LPE actual, I could bring that information in. Anything that you're populating at the study level, I could go ahead and fully customize this view. I could save it, and I could save this as, once I go ahead and save as, and I'll just save this as Billy's view. Helps to click in there. And I click Save and get out of here. I can go ahead and go to this drop down. I can click on Billy's view. It brings in the edited view I just had right here, and then I can pin this. So every time I come into the studies, I'm only seeing what I want to see. If I feel this is really useful, I can submit it to the admin, who can go ahead and add this view to everyone's studies. And you can do this with the project, the study country, the sites, everything, all the way down. And once again, if you export this to Excel, you can export it as a dynamic worksheet, and anytime a new study is added, it's going to add it. Every time you open that Excel sheet, it's going to add it to it and bring in all the latest information that you've added to the system. So while the reports, the visualizations that we have, you're not able to drill down into, with the customized general entity view at the project, the study country, and the site level, that you can go ahead and view, and there's no limit to the number of personal views you could have here. You could go ahead and just create a personal view where you filter only on endocrinology studies, on any therapeutic area you can filter in when you're pulling this in, and then you can save all those dynamic export views right to your desktop and be able to have that information at your fingers. So while, like I said, the visualizations are static, you're able to manipulate so much of the information you see in the system, and then not only can you do it in the system, you can export it dynamically right there on your desktop. So if you want to see it, you open it up. You don't even have to log into the system. Hopefully that helps, just showing you a little bit of what the system is able to do. Got some more questions. What data integrations do you support out of the box? Example, can you help in pulling in real-time enrollments and plug them into the studies? If I guess you're talking about, having that API, we always have to talk to the company or talk to whoever is managing the enrollment table in order to get the systems to communicate to one another when trying to get them together. So we're able to do it. Nothing really with the APIs is out of the box. It's something that we meet with you. We talk to the person or the company managing the data and get that feed to pull in the information. But yeah, pulling in enrollment is one of the main concerns people have. Yes, we can do it. Sorry, so the question is, can you do that? Yes, we can build APIs to any CRO, EDC system and get that. Yes, that would be an additional cost in order to build the API to get our developers to pull that information in. The system itself is based on a subscription per user per month. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that, those pricing offline. All right, well, I don't think we've received any other questions. I want to thank everyone for joining today. Like I said, I'm going to be, this webinar is being recorded, and I'm going to send it out to everyone who both registered and attended. So if you know anyone who might benefit from seeing it, or you want to share it with somebody internally, please do so. And once again, my name is Billy D. You have my contact information when you registered for the webinar. So if anyone would like to have any follow-up or anything like that, any further discussions, please reach out to me. So with that, I'll give everybody about 10 minutes back in their day. Thank you all for joining, and have a great rest of your day.